Hey guys, first regardsman here, and so I want to talk about the Salamander's Power Sword in Space Marine 2 Patch 14 and the best way to set this up and how its perk effect actually works. So the Salamander's Power Sword got buffed up from the public test server. The heroic perk effect here is called Nocturne's Retort. Perfect parry to empower the blade and deal 300% more damage to the next light attack in speed style. Hold up to 6 in power stacks. The parry window is smaller. So this weapon is actually kind of cracked. It is a very strong power sword option, and the really nice thing about this weapon is that you don't have to take perk effects on assault like overcharge with this. You can take different stuff like armor reinforcement and wind fury, because you actually do about as much damage, if not more damage, with a light attack while this is active than you would on a power rake, which is pretty absurd. And also there's one hidden effect on the heroic perk effect here where it doesn't tell you that you will get 3 in power stacks, not just 1 per perfect parry. So you're actually getting half of your total stacks per parry of an enemy, which is kind of insane. So that allows you to basically do a full combo off a single parry of an enemy. And also keep in mind that in Space Marine 2, when you perfect parry an enemy or perfect block them, there is a 2-second weakness effect on them that increases all of their damage taken by 50%, which lets you take full advantage of that as well. So stuff like Carnifexes, when they're slamming into your face with their claws over and over and you're parrying them, you can like slip in some of these light attacks very easily. So that's actually pretty strong. And so the big thing about the power sword here is that you want to set it up for like mostly damage, like armored strength and stuff like Master of Offense. Some people think you want to take momentum gain. This perk, in my opinion, is just not worth taking. I mean, the consecutive light attacks are pretty good, but if you go down here for melee onslaught for a flat 10% buff, I think you're just generally better off. It's not like the worst perk ever. You could skip over the top line, but really this one is kind of like deceptive. You're better off just taking stuff like your perpetual strength, because even on this one you are not building up to like 30% very often at all, unless you are absolutely spamming the weapon, which usually the game will interrupt you on with like a perfect parry or something like that. But momentum gain, it's okay. Now the perk I take down here instead is Perpetual Strength, down here into the perk Tranquility. Then I pick up Melee Onslaught, Hard Target for 15% less range damage while performing a light combo. And the perk, of course, here is Cutting Edge. Power Rake deals 50% more melee damage. Now, unfortunately, the Power Sword tree has not been changed at all, so stuff like Reeling Blow is still not worth taking, because if you're Power Raking, you definitely want that damage. And the only major change, I would say, is stuff like Speed Restoration over Power Restoration, because you do actually use the speed style a lot more on this build. So having that double CHP recovery, it does feel pretty nice. And also keep in mind that they are changing around the CHP recovery in Space Marine 2 and the way that system works in the future to prioritize melee damage, which will make this perk even better. But as far as perks like Minora's Slayer are concerned, I don't think you need this at all. A 20% buff to melee damage against Minora's is not that strong. I think you're better off just going for Extremis Slayer, Majora's Slayer, and Terminus Slayer as a catch-all, because these do what you really want them to do. Now, as far as the best perk setups of this thing go, and how this weapon's damage buff actually works, you will not benefit the 300% damage buff of this light attack on things like the Power Rake or Power Whirl anymore. That was bugged in the PTS, where basically you could apply the light attack 300% damage buff here to your Power Rake and Power Whirl attack. This is exclusive to your light combos on the speed style. So that includes stuff like the Ground Pound in the Assault class and other things like that. Now, some prime time build variety for this is if you want to go for like a full Gunstrike build, or just take Overcharge, or excuse me, Armor Reinforcement here and skip over Strategic Strikes, you can definitely do that. And Active Attrition is also very strong on this weapon, because the damage taken debuff here will boost up your damage after that perfect parry so much that you do just kind of nuke down enemies. This is by far the best fencing power sword in the game right now, and I think people are really sleeping on how powerful a 300% damage bonus actually is. If you stack those with other damage effects here like Aerial Grace on a Wings of Flame build, I think you can actually have a ton of fun build variety on this one. Now, the final thing I want to mention here is that when you are using the power sword, it gives you a decreased parry window, and the parry window on this weapon is equivalent to a block weapon. So the parry window is exactly the same. You will have a 0 frame startup, but you only have 20 active frames at 60 FPS. That's just like, you know, fighting game terminology. There's actually like millisecond delay, but the point is that the parry window is identical to a block, the same way an Argent Edge is identical to a block. So it's all the same parry window. So if you're comfortable with this one, you'll be 100% comfortable on this option here. The only thing that kind of sucks on this weapon is that Space Marine 2 has a parry bug where occasionally you will perfect parry an enemy and you will not get any parry effect at all. You won't take damage, but your parry will just phase through the enemy, and because of that, you will lose out on those 3 empower stacks. That is super frustrating, but that's been a bug in the game since the launch, and they still have not fixed it here. But that is pretty much all I have to say about the Power Sword Salamander variant. If you want a full guide on the Power Sword and everything about this weapon and its moveset, I do have that on this channel, and that'll be up in the info card above. But for now, that's all I have to say in this one. Hopefully this guide helped you, and I would say of all the weapons in Space Marine 2 patch 14 for the heroic variants, I think this and the Lord Executioner's Axe are the best picks currently, because this one is actually very strong. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And if you want me live to ask me questions about the game or just come hang out, you can find me here on YouTube or on Twitch with a link in the video description. Also, a link to my community Discord. I also want to say a special thank you to my channel members. You guys have been supporting me for 2 years now, and I seriously appreciate that. It helps me make guides like this every day. And as always, thank you for watching. Take it easy. Bye.